Think you know everything about boxing? Think again. Today we're busting the biggest myths in the sport. We're talking about the stuff that gets passed around gyms like cheap hand-me-downs, the misconceptions that just won't die. From training secrets to fight night misconceptions, we're diving deep into the world of boxing to separate fact from fiction. We're gonna break down the science, the history, and the straight-up BS that surrounds this legendary sport. Get ready to have your assumptions challenged because we're about to step into the ring of truth. Alright, let's talk about weightlifting. It's a topic that has sparked countless debates in the boxing community. There's this old school mentality in boxing that lifting weights will make you slow, stiff, and ruin your flow. This belief has been passed down through generations, almost like an unwritten rule. They think it's all about being light on your feet, dancing around the ring with grace and speed, all about that natural speed and agility. And sure, those are crucial elements of boxing, but you know what? That's a load of crap. The idea that weightlifting is detrimental to a boxer's performance is outdated and simply not true. Look, I'm not saying you gotta turn into some kind of bodybuilder all oiled up and posing for Mr. Olympia, that's not the goal here. But to say that strength training has no place in boxing, that's just absurd. That's like saying a comedian doesn't need a sense of humor. It's just ridiculous. Strength training is essential for a well-rounded athlete. Modern boxing is about power, man. It's about delivering explosive force, round after round. And how do you build that kind of power? You lift weights. It's as simple as that. Deadlifts, squats, overhead presses, these are the exercises that build the foundation of a powerful boxer. Think about it. When you throw a punch, you're engaging your entire body, from your legs to your core to your shoulders. Every muscle group contributes to the force of that punch. It's a full body movement. So why wouldn't you want to strengthen those muscles? It just makes sense. And it's not just about punching power. Weight training also helps with injury prevention. Stronger muscles mean more stable joints, which means you're less likely to get sidelined with a rotator cuff tear or a blown-out knee. And let's not forget about endurance. Weight training can improve your stamina, allowing you to maintain your performance throughout the entire fight. Weight training also helps with injury prevention. It's a crucial part of a boxer's training regimen. Stronger muscles mean more stable joints, which means you're less likely to get sidelined with a rotator cuff tear or a blown-out knee. Which means you're less likely to get sidelined with a rotator cuff tear or a blown-out knee. It's about longevity in the sport. Look at any elite-level boxer today, and I guarantee you, they're incorporating some form of weight training into their routine. They understand its importance. They know that to compete at the highest level, you need both strength and speed. It's a balance. So, if you're serious about boxing, ditch the outdated mentality that weightlifting is the enemy. Embrace it as a vital part of your training. Embrace it, do it right, and watch your performance in the ring skyrocket. You'll be stronger, faster, and more resilient. Let's talk about another myth that needs to be knocked out. The idea that boxing is all about brute strength. Sure, being able to hit hard is important, but it's not the be-all and end-all of boxing. In fact, some of the most exciting and successful boxers in history weren't the biggest or the strongest guys in the ring. Boxing is like a physical game of chess. It's about strategy, timing, and outsmarting your opponent. You need to be able to think several moves ahead, anticipate your opponent's attacks, and exploit their weaknesses. Take Muhammad Ali, for example. He wasn't known for being the most devastating puncher, but he was a master of strategy. He'd use his speed, his agility, and his incredible ring IQ to outmaneuver his opponents, picking them apart with precision and finesse. Or look at Floyd Mayweather Jr., another guy who wasn't known for his knockout power, but his defensive skills were legendary. He'd slip punches, counter with lightning speed, and frustrate his opponents until they made a mistake. These guys were like boxing professors, man. They understood that true power comes from a combination of physical and mental strength. They trained their minds as hard as they trained their bodies, and that's what made them champions. So, if you're just going into the ring swinging for the fences, relying solely on brute force, you're gonna gas out, get figured out, and ultimately, get beat. You gotta have a plan, you gotta be able to adapt, and you gotta be able to outthink the guy in front of you. That's what separates the contenders from the pretenders in the world of boxing. This next myth is one that keeps a lot of people from even trying boxing in the first place, the idea that you need to start young to be successful. People think that if you didn't lace up the gloves by the time you were 10 years old, you've missed the boat. But that's just not true. Look, there's no denying that starting young gives you a head start. You get those formative years of training, developing your skills, and getting comfortable in the ring. But it's not a deal breaker if you come to the sport later in life. There are countless examples of boxers who didn't achieve greatness until they were well into their 20s, even 30s. Take Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber himself. He didn't start boxing until he was 20 years old. He was working in a restaurant, for God's sake, before he found boxing. And look at him now, a former world champion with devastating knockout power. Or how about Bernard Hopkins? Talk about a late bloomer. He didn't even turn pro until he was 24, after spending years in prison. And he went on to become a multiple weight world champion, defying Father Time and fighting at the highest level well into his 50s. The key is, it's never too late to start if you're willing to put in the work. Yeah, you might have some catching up to do, but age is just a number. What matters is dedication, discipline, and a burning desire to succeed. So, if you're sitting at home thinking about giving boxing a shot but worried you've missed your chance, forget about it. Get in the gym, find a good coach, and start training. You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Remember, boxing is as much a mental game as it is a physical one. Your mindset can be your greatest asset or your biggest obstacle. Embrace the journey, no matter when you start. Celebrate the small victories along the way, and don't be too hard on yourself. Every champion was once a beginner who refused to give up. So, lace up those gloves, step into the ring, and show the world what you're made of. Age is just a number, but your determination and passion are timeless. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. The issue of brain injuries in boxing. It's a serious topic, and it's one that deserves an honest conversation. We can't just sweep it under the rug or pretend it doesn't exist. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that boxing is risk-free. That would be misleading and irresponsible. Anytime you step into a ring and get punched in the head, there's a chance of getting hurt. It's a contact sport after all, that's just the reality of the sport. But it's important to understand the full picture. But here's the thing. Boxing has gotten a bad rap over the years when it comes to brain injuries. The media often highlights the dangers without acknowledging the improvements. The truth is, many other sports carry a significant risk of head trauma: football, rugby, even cheerleading. These sports also have their share of injuries, sometimes even more severe. But for some reason, boxing often gets singled out. Maybe it's the nature of the sport or the visibility of the injuries. The sport has made huge strides in terms of safety. We've got better gloves, stricter rules, and more advanced medical protocols to identify and treat potential injuries. These measures are designed to protect the athletes. And let's not forget about the training and preparation that goes into becoming a boxer. Learning proper technique, footwork, and head movement are all crucial for minimizing the risk of getting hit clean. These skills are essential for any boxer. Look, I'm not saying that everyone should go out and become a boxer. It's not a decision to be taken lightly. It's a demanding sport, both physically and mentally, requiring a high level of commitment and dedication, and it's not for everyone. Some people might find the risks too high, and that's perfectly okay. But for those who are drawn to it, who feel a passion for the sport, who are willing to put in the work and accept the risks, boxing can be an incredibly rewarding experience. It's a sport that teaches you discipline, pushing you to your limits and beyond. It's a sport that teaches you discipline, resilience, and respect. These are values that extend beyond the ring. It pushes you to your limits and forces you to confront your fears. It builds character and mental toughness. And yeah, there are risks involved, just like there are in any sport, but those risks can be managed. But with the right training, the right mindset, and the right precautions, those risks can be minimized. Safety should always be a priority. So, before you write off boxing as too dangerous, take a moment to consider all aspects. Educate yourself about the sport, understand the risks, and appreciate the rewards. The risks and the rewards. Weigh them carefully. Talk to boxers, trainers, and medical professionals. Get their perspectives and insights, get the facts, and make an informed decision. Only then can you truly understand what boxing is all about. This last myth is one that really grinds my gears. The idea that boxers aren't smart. You know, that old stereotype of the punch-drunk fighter who can barely string a sentence together. It's insulting, it's inaccurate, and it's time to put it to rest. The truth is, boxing requires an incredible amount of intelligence and strategic thinking. It's a game of angles, timing, and deception. You need to be able to read your opponent, anticipate their moves, and exploit their weaknesses. It's like a physical game of chess, played at lightning speed. Think about all the factors a boxer has to process during a fight. Distance, timing, feints, counterpunches, footwork, head movement, body language. They're constantly making adjustments, adapting to their opponent, and trying to stay one step ahead. This isn't something you can do if you're not firing on all cylinders mentally. And it's not just about what happens in the ring. Boxers need to be smart outside the ring too. They need to manage their weight, train effectively, study their opponents, and make smart decisions about their careers. It takes discipline, focus, and a whole lot of brain power. So the next time you hear someone say that boxers are dumb, you tell them to watch a fight with someone who knows what they're looking at. Tell them to pay attention to the subtle movements, the strategic adjustments, the mental warfare that's going on in that ring. They'll quickly realize that boxing is anything but a mindless brawl. It's a thinking man's game, and the smartest fighters are often the ones who come out on top. So there you have it, folks. We've busted some of the biggest myths in boxing, separating fact from fiction, and hopefully shedding some light on this often misunderstood sport. If you enjoyed this myth-busting session, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into the world of sports. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and let me know what other sports myths you'd like to see busted. Remember, in boxing and in life, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay strong, and keep fighting the good fight.